I've seen some stinking performances at Crystal Palace in my time. Some absolute horrors. I remember the 2 years ago. That was the first time Erik Ten Hag had been seen at a Manchester United game. And it was 1-0. It was the end of the season. It was the flattest, most miserable, inept performance. And it was a typical end of season performance when you've got nothing to play for. And you thought, can it get worse than that? Well, it absolutely got worse at Selhurst Park tonight. I couldn't go because the game was shifted to a Monday night, but that United end was still sold out, and those fans were still singing to the end. I've just spoke to a couple of mates of mine, and they're on a train. So not a train because the last train's gone. They're on a coach back to Manchester now. That's going to take 4 or 5 hours. It's Selhurst Park's in deepest South London. It's really tricky to get to. So they're going to get back at stupid o'clock. This game always seems to be moved to midweek to inconvenience fans. I'm going to give one rating tonight, and that's to the travelling United fans. And they deserve full marks for sticking by that team, because I'm not convinced that team deserves that support. It was just abject. And the sad thing is, I expected it. I'm not surprised at all. I'm surprised that it's 4-0. But I'm not surprised that Manchester United were comfortably beaten by a informed Palace team, motivated with a new manager, doing well, done the double over Manchester United this season. So I remember being at Old Trafford earlier on in the season when Roy Hodgson came in afterwards and said its team fully deserved to win. It's becoming a little bit too frequent to be comfortable this now. Manchester United going head-to-head against mid and lower place teams in the league and either scraping by or being outplayed. What the time did the first goal go in tonight? 12 minutes? Was anyone expected it to be much longer? Nah, not really. Now, in mitigation, a lot of injuries, 12 injuries, 7 injuries in defence. They clearly have a factor. I'm not giving that as any excuse, but having given Manchester United would have put a full team out tonight, then it wouldn't have been a 4-0. It just wouldn't have been. So when you're seeing Casemiro playing as a central defender and he's not a central defender, that leads to concern among the fans. But it's not just about names. The mood is so low at the moment among the players. Among the coaches, there's uncertainty. It feels like there's nothing to play for, yet there's a cup final to play for. And there's European football to play for, but it's almost embarrassing that the team's chasing the Conference League or the Europa League. The team had 9 days to prepare for that. And it ended in a 13th league defeat. 9 days, but then how do you prepare if you lose your captain, your former captain in the days leading up to the game? United now lost more league games than the top 3 combined, and most of them players tonight, they were Erik Ten Hag's players. So let's just run through them all. Onana, Wan-Bissaka, back where he was so impressive for Crystal Palace. Casemiro playing his 50th Premier League game. He's the one I've made the most notes for. Missed the ball and left a huge gap for Olise and Palace's opener. Awful. Was way too advanced. Was miles offside after 62 minutes when a free kick was put in. And he did put the ball in the net. He lost the ball to Munoz before Palace's 4th. Johnny Evans couldn't get near Mateta for the 2nd. Delone, Mainu, Eriksen, Anthony. I actually didn't realise Anthony was on the pitch until he had a shot after 50 minutes. Mason Mount, a rare start. He's first in the league since October, played by Højlund. I'm not going to say that he played well, but I would say it's good to see him playing again, and for him to come through a game like that. Garnacho, well, he wasn't the worst player. Rasmus Højlund, he seemed to shove Henderson and the ball went in. It looked really soft. It just looked really, really soft, but then goalkeepers were afforded more protection, but it just looked soft. Would that have made much difference? Probably not. Hamrabat came on, Ahmad, Ethan Wheatley. Yeah, it's good to see young lads coming through, but if I remember 91 last game of the season at Palace. United lost 3-0. Palace finished third that season. And Palace have been down. I think they've been down to the third tier. But in 91 they had a good team. But at least we had Rotterdam to look forward to. And we're supposed to say that at least we've got the cup final to look forward to, like we did in 1990. When we played Palace's main rivals, Charlton Athletic, in the last league game at Old Trafford, and the fans were all shaking hands and swapping scarves because there was Charlton fans don't like Palace. And we've got a cup final to look forward to now, but with what team? How many more injuries we're going to get? 4, 5 more injuries? You know, this has been the trend all season. So I know Wembley will still be a hard ticket, but City are going to win the league again. I know Arsenal still got to come to Old Trafford. I wouldn't be stunned if Manchester United didn't win another game. In fact, if they didn't pick up any more points. Arsenal are really good. We've seen that. They were really good at Old Trafford last season, but lost. The famous game at Arsenal this season, which the manager keeps talking about. Newcastle, that's looking like a big game. But I watched Newcastle destroy Burnley at the weekend. Burnley United couldn't beat at Old Trafford. Brighton, final game of the season, they are out of form. But how many more injuries we're going to get before them? So some of the most defining games in Manchester United's history have actually been at Crystal Palace. Erik Cantona jumped into the crowd there. There was a famous 5-0 there in 72 when Franco Farrell was sacked 2 days after the game. And I've got no evidence at all that Erik Ten Hag is going to be sacked 2 days after this one. It just feels weird. The whole club feels confused. The players, the coaches, people don't know whether they're going to have a job. And that staff on the football side, on the non-football side, the fans can see that it's not working out, but they know that there's injuries. There's not a massive appetite for yet another managerial change. And then they see the manager being linked with Bayern Munich and think, what's all this about? How come they want him? It's just a mess. And I've seen this club being pretty low positions. I remember another game actually against Crystal Palace, and that was in December 89 at Old Trafford, and the crowds had dropped to about 35,000, and the fans were singing that the manager should go. That was a guy called Alex Ferguson. And the FA Cup that season saved Ferguson again against Crystal Palace. Recurring themes here for a team who've spent a lot of time out in the Premier League. We just don't know what's going to happen right now. It's just extremely frustrating. The goal difference is -3, I think. The team have conceded a huge number of goals this season across all competitions. It's just dire. It's so frustrating. And yet fans still sell out every single game, home and away. Just looking at my notes on the different players, it's just Johnny Evans 10. I'm not even going to give Johnny Evans 10 after that. Why do we do this? Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we let it impact on our mood so much? It's investing so much into a group of people we don't know. It's ridiculous, isn't it, when you think about it like that? And yet we do. We do it year after year. I suppose to experience the highs, you've got to suffer from the lows. We're certainly suffering from lows at the moment, and this isn't relegation. This isn't what other fans are suffering, but it's all relative, isn't it? Manchester United shouldn't be 8th in the league, using whatever metrics that you want to use. Be a lot of pressure on the manager. My understanding that no decision has been made on his future. People say to me like, he's got to go now, he's going in it. And I can't say that because I've got no evidence. And there's a big difference in journalism between facts and opinion. And I feel completely split on him myself. I've been writing articles for The Athletic, arguing in my own head about whether he should stay or go. I'm going to finish United We Stand Off. It's a really good issue. I know that enthusiasm will be low, but it's a really good issue. We've got some brilliant writers in this fan base. And the deadline for subscribing is 8 a.m. Wednesday morning, UK time. So if you want to support what we do that. Sorry, can't be happier. I'll be at Old Trafford on Sunday, and next week, and then at Wembley. Yeah, we'll look back at these times. The problem is I said it 2 years ago. I said it in 2019 as well. Manchester United will rise again. When? Goodbye.